All right, guys, we are continuing on here in the off season. In this video, I'm going to give you guys 5 players I will not be drafting this season and why. 5 big name players I will not be drafting and why you should not be drafting this season as well. Big names that we want to avoid this season. I'm going to tell you guys who they are and why. So I'm going to keep rolling with the off-season content here for you. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe because I'm the only podcast, the #1 fantasy football podcast that actually gives you advice that's actually going to help you win. Everybody's really just copying and pasting last year's rankings and saying, draft everybody in the same order. Quick example. Everybody told you last year, draft Jonathan Taylor first overall. I said, guys, coming off pinnacle year, be careful. Cooper Kupp, everyone said draft him as the #1 wide receiver. I said, nope, avoid that. Do not do it because decline is very possible to happen after a pinnacle year. Now, you say that's obvious, Joe. That's very obvious. Well, hindsight is 2020. Not to mention, though, it's like now it's obvious, right? But last year when all the magazines, everybody came out, every single podcast said, hey, Cooper Kupp's #1. It seemed like the obvious pick, right? How about Kenneth Walker? I can keep going on, right? Everybody told you Rashad Penny over Kenneth Walker, and this goes on. Nobody told you about Tyler Algier, and that's what I do, guys, on this podcast. That's what I do in the 16-round draft, so should we think outside the box and put you light years ahead of the competition. So make sure you guys grab 16 rounds. I've linked it below right here on YouTube, or head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. It's right on the homepage. Watch the video, learn about it, and get into 16 rounds right now. It is the game changer, all right? Let's dive into these 5 players out. Drop a name below on a player that you won't be drafting this year and why right here in the comments. If you are watching on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, make sure you guys are following and go over to YouTube and drop a comment as well, all right? So I'm going to go over this here. Now, the guy that, these guys have big names. First guy I want to talk about is Pat Mahomes, okay? And it's not just I'm giving you a name here, Pat Mahomes, don't draft him. Well, it's obvious that you should draft him based on his consistency, based on his talent, and all that stuff. When you look at a guy like Pat Mahomes, you're going to have to invest high draft capital in him. Now, there's a ton of value at quarterback you can get later. I explained all this in 60 rounds on exactly which quarterback to get, but you get better value on a Justin Herbert coming off a down year who's due to bounce back, a Trevor Lawrence. You can get them rounds later instead of investing an earlier draft pick on a Pat Mahomes or a Josh Allen. So it's not just I'm avoiding Pat Mahomes because I'm avoiding Pat Mahomes. I'm avoiding him because I don't want to pay super high draft capital on a quarterback when I should be securing the most scarce position, which is the running back position early. Load up on those workhorse running backs because there's literally like just under a dozen of those guys that are going to get a workload. Everybody's looking at timeshare and committee approach moving forward. All right, guys? So Pat Mahomes, simply for the price tag, I won't be paying it. And you got to ask yourself, when is that decline happening? He's still got a lot of juice left. I mean, we're talking at least 5 to 10 more years of constant production. Predicated he stays healthy, he's going to be a consistent producer. And that's what you get with the quarterback position. You get more certainty at that position. He is that certain guy. I just don't want to pay the high price tag. Again, I had him in the 10th round as a backup quarterback the year he broke out. And that's what I want you guys to do, is to kind of find those diamonds in the rough. And there's a lot of good rookie quarterbacks coming in this year. Are they going to be good the first year? Probably not. Historically, it shows us that rookie quarterbacks aren't good, but maybe as a backup with upside, there could be some good backups this year at the quarterback position with upside, all right, for fantasy football. Second player I'm avoiding, very simple for me, is Christian McCaffrey. I've never been a fan of him. His prime time is done. He's had his pinnacle years. Now, in 2020 and 2021 combined, he played a total of 10 games. So durability is not a good thing when it comes to CMC. Not to mention on a team where they have running backs that just don't get it done. Going back a couple years, Breida was kind of the guy. Coleman was the guy. They had Mostert. They had Elijah Mitchell, who's been, he's done nothing. He played 11 games in 2021, played 5 games last year. Injury riddled, problems there at the running back position. And then in comes an injury-prone running back who had a good year last year, understandably so, right? Over 1,000 yards. The attempts were there, getting a touchdown almost all the last, 5, 6, 7 games on the ground, consistent, solid. I like Christian McCaffrey when he's going, but will he continue going? I really doubt it. And the thing is, everybody's ranking this guy as the RB1, which is ludicrous, okay? Yes, he had one good year coming back, but he's on the 49ers. Quarterback situation is going to be suspect on, what's going to happen there. He's not going to have a quarterback that he's worked with for years. We're going to have to see what happens after the draft, right? Who's starting, who the wide receivers are going to be, how that scenario is going to look. But as it looks right now, Christian McCaffrey to me does not seem appealing. Again, especially with the high draft capital, the injury history, I personally do not trust Christian McCaffrey, so I'm going to be fading him for the reason that history shows me historically on the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey that he's not a durable guy. It's not a durable situation, especially for like a first, second overall. They've got him number 1 running back overall, which is ludicrous. This guy was good, like I said, 5 years ago, maybe, but now that's a no for me. Number 3 here is Tony Pollard. Now, the way that Tony Pollard sits, he finished 8th last year. I like Tony Pollard, the way that he sits with Zeke being gone, but I'm assuming that they're going to be drafting a running back. That's what the Cowboys are going to do. They want to replace the workhorse that was Zeke. They only tag Tony Pollard because that's like saying, when you tag somebody, it's like saying, I believe in you for 1 year. Literally. It's like the silent way of saying, I like you, but I don't really like you. So they gave him like a $10 million franchise tag, which is a nice chunk of money, but not enough to secure him to be their workhorse back. So maybe a Bijan Robinson comes in, someone like that out of the draft, they may be looking at, okay? So Pollard, as of right now, on paper looks good, but I will not be drafting him. He was not as good as Zeke. He always split with Zeke. He was never able to take over Zeke. He's never going to be a true one, and for that reason, I will be fading him, and I think he's going to be expensive considering he did well last year. So people are going to be drafting the Pollard thinking that, this is the Pollard that I'm going to get a workhorse, but not going to be the case. Again, this is March. We're going to have to see what happens after the draft. I'm not drafting him, okay? That probably you shouldn't either. 2 more big names here. Number 4, Davante Adams. Now, Davante Adams, here's the thing. Last year he thrived because Waller and Renfro were hurt. If they were not, he wouldn't have gotten the 180 targets that he did. Okay, he got a lot of volume, which is great, okay, for fantasy. In comes Jimmy G, who had a pinnacle year in 2019. That was his best year, and he still couldn't throw over 4,000 yards. He had a 27 touchdown to 13 interception ratio. They brought in Myers. They've got Renfro still there. They've got a bunch of targets. Josh Jacobs looking to have himself a good year. When I look at Davante Adams, I see a guy that was really good with Rodgers, past his prime. Yes, he's still good, but Jimmy G doesn't excite me. So what I'm saying is, yes, Adams could have a year that he had the past 2 years. Very possible, given the volume. But Jimmy G does not excite me. He's been in the league for a long time. And like I said, his pinnacle year is 2019, where he peaked at 27 touchdowns and still 3,978 yards, still under 4,000 yards. He's never thrown over 4,000 yards in a season. So I look at a guy like Jimmy G, and I'm just like, this does not look like a good situation. It looks very lackluster. For me, I'm going to be passing on Davante Adams. Very expensive, coming off 2 hot years. No way but down, predicated on the situation, not paying the price. There's going to be a ton of value at wide receiver later that could easily surpass Adams. And again, get 16 rounds to know who to draft, okay? And number 5 here, old GOAT, reliable, Aaron Jones. He's had his share of inconsistencies throughout the year, but has been a safe running back too, in my opinion. 213 attempts last year, so he's got a bit of a spike in attempts. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming back, so, you've got Jordan Love there, new situation. A.J. Dillon getting better every single year. Dillon was the touchdown guy last year, 7 touchdowns compared to the 2 on the ground by Aaron Jones. Dillon had 7. So you look at Dillon, young, dynamic, workhorse guy. You got Aaron Jones, aging, old, and not going to have probably Aaron Rodgers there. So you look at a situation here with Aaron Jones, who, again, had a good year last year, right? Finished just in the top 10. But this year that's it. This is the year that you see the big drop off for Aaron Jones. I will not be paying for it. New situation, new quarterback, never a true workhorse running back. Not going to be paying for Aaron Jones, and neither should you, okay? Pat Mahomes, too expensive. Christian McCaffrey is going to get hurt. And yes, you can predict injuries. I did it with Cooper Kupp last year. What goes up must come down. Probability, history shows injury is possible. And very expensive. Christian McCaffrey will not be paying it yet. Everyone's going to tell you, draft him first overall. Could he have a top 2, 3 finish at running back position in 2023 for McCaffrey? Yes, he could. I'm not taking that chance, okay? Tony Pollard, I don't think he's going to be the workhorse guy. They're going to bring in a rookie. And if Bijan comes in, Robinson, the top prospect, the running back, and he is drafted by the Cowboys, it's going to really suck because I think Pollard will still be a pest. They paid him $10 million. They're going to use him. They're going to use him in the passing game. He's going to be there to provide relief for whoever the workhorse running back is. So look for a possible committee there with the Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately. It really sucks because the Zeke days were good when he was kind of the primary back. It looks like it's kind of shifting here, so just be cautious there. But Tony Pollard, I'm avoiding. He will not be the workhorse. Devontae Adams, we talked about Jimmy G. You know, he's just not the guy to get this done. Maybe he turns over a new leaf, but, you know, he's been in the league long enough to see that he's lackluster, to say the least. And Aaron Jones, twilight or sunset years of his life are here, all right? 5 players I will not be drafting. If you want to know who I'm drafting, get the 16-round draft solution, thefantasyfootballcouncil.com. Drop a comment. Who are you not drafting? Let me know below. And the off-season content continues to roll out. I appreciate you guys being here. We'll talk soon. Follow on IG for all of the craziness and the fun. IG at Fantasy Football Counselor. Talk soon. I'm out.